Welcome, brothers and sisters. My name is Eros and I am the Dawn Maker. Today we are going forward with our series about the planets to get a better feel, to get a better understanding of every single planet. And as you guessed from the title, we will be talking about Jupiter. Please do remember, we are not taking into consideration every single possible correspondence of Jupiter. That will be completely impossible. I will take into consideration those few correspondence that, in my opinion, in my experience, will give you a better feel, a better understanding of the energy of the planets. So, for Jupiter, we will start with abundance. So, Jupiter is telling us to cultivate our resources and to work to increase our resources, to bring, if you want, abundance to our resources, abundance to our career, and through our career, to bring an abundance of opportunities to develop ourselves, and to bring an abundance of situation in which we can develop ourselves. In a strict analogy to the ancient cultivation of crops and trees, planting today to harvest the fruits of our cultivation in the future, to harvest in the future. So, an incremental growth that we can, of course, apply to our investments, but also to our family, leaving a legacy, if you want. The second correspondence I would like you to take into consideration is expansion. So, growth in our economics, but also in our influence, and bringing an expansion of our life experiences, if you want, in our personal experience, in our vitality. In this sense, through Jupiter, in expansion, we are spending to gain the image of the investment. So, using our resources and restoring our resources even better than before. The third and final correspondence we will be taking into consideration to better understand Jupiter is defense. So, protecting what we have conquered, protecting ourselves, protecting the ones we love or respect, protecting our prosperity, and protecting our ideas and our way of thinking, our way of living, always allowing ourselves to be able to change our mind if necessary. So, we don't want to be static, we want to be en garde. Then, in this sense, we want to have a long-term reasoning. We want to foresee future to protect our prosperity, thinking in advance to promote and defend our prosperity and our growth. So, What's the teaching of Jupiter? There are many, but the main one, at least in my opinion, is gratitude. So we want to be able to understand that gratitude is the best fuel for many things in our lives, but especially for our magical operation. We want to feel gratitude to empower ourselves, to empower our resources, and to empower our connection. In the sense to create a positive spiral, expanding, going forward. Also, this gratitude, if you allow me an analogy to kitchen magic, if we were to work in a restaurant together, we would like to use this gratitude to work with increasingly more good ingredients of a better quality going forward, not increasing the size of our menu, if you want. I hope this was clear. Also, on another note, we want to be grateful through Jupiter for the little things and for our friends, for our connection, because through this gratitude we can become better friends, better colleagues, better partners, and eventually, in the future, better parents. Displaying gratitude. As we said before, the best object to represent Jupiter is the shield, or in a sense, the armor. Because the shield is a protection, but at the same time is an emblem representing what we believe in, what we are ready to defend, what we are ready to fight to defend. And at the same time, the quality of our shield, if we were to make this analogy, also represents our wealth. So, putting this shield to good use is the image of the defender, best represented from Jupiter, our shield. As you of course know, in ancient time, if we were to be knights, we would expose our armor and our shield as a sign of wealth and as a representation of our profession. But also, if we were to be kings, we would expose the armors that we own to show our wealth and how ready we were to protect our knights, if you catch the analogy. So we want to be ready to call upon Jupiter when bad times comes and arrows falls, rains from the sky. We want to be ready to call upon Jupiter. Now, again, as we did in the previous episode, we are going to put in counter position two archetypes of Jupiter, a positive one and a negative one. So we will put in counter position the investor archetype and the gambler archetype. The investor is betting on prosperity, on his prosperity, on the prosperity of those who lives in his circle, while the gambler is betting on luck and casualty. That, of course, we all know doesn't exist. At the same time, the investor is a calculator. He's trying to calculate the better investments for the future, while the gambler is calculated, is dependent on the choices that others makes on his personal or her personal resources. The investor is risk tolerant, is ready to take risks to build a better prosperity in the future, while the gambler is risk addicted. Every day, every single day, he or she tries to live that risk on his or herself, on his or her heart. Then, usually, the investor is generous, ready to share, while the gambler is self-centered. The investor is ready to bet on the success of others, to share success, while the gambler needs to bet on luck, to catch a breath, to find again a way to breathe after every loss. The investor is happy to share, especially with his peers, while the gambler, as we said before, is in need to win, to catch a breath. And in a strange analogy, a strange similitude, I hope this term translates correctly, otherwise I will put a subtitle. The investor and the gambler have something very similar in common. They usually are surrounded by peers. So, the investor is usually surrounded by investor, ready to share information, to share knowledge, to share techniques, while the gambler is also surrounded by peers, usually by leeches, ready to drain whenever we catch a breath, to share it all together, to continue in our addiction, in our taking risk methodically. Now, as always, we will go to strict correspondences, to direct correspondences. For Jupiter, we can clearly see that the color will be blue or purple if you want to work with introspection. The day of the week related to Jupiter will be Thursday. The metal related to Jupiter will be tin or aluminium in some cases, in other grimoires. The card of the tarot deck usually related to Jupiter will be the Wheel of Fortune. And if you want to make zodiacal correspondences, during the day, Jupiter is best related to the sign of Sagittarius, and during the night, to the sign of Pisces. Then, if you like to work with crystals, in my personal experience, the best crystals to work with, to connect with Jupiter are amethyst, lapis lazuli, sapphire, and diamond. Then, if we are talking about herbs for Jupiter, as we've seen before, we can work with anise and star anise, cloves, oregano, sage, and bergamot, but also borage, lilac, juniper, dandelion, valerian, vervain, and if you want to talk about trees, we can work with poplar and oak, but we can also want to work with Irish moss and figs, a sign of wealth from the times of ancient Romans. Now, I hope you get a better feel for the energy of Jupiter after this video. Feel free to rewatch any time that you need to do so. As always, I hope I will see you in the next video. I deeply thank you for your kind attention, and may eternal light shine upon you.